Well, hello and welcome to the Brantley Bank Coaches Show, hosted by Vaughn Forest Church, where we talk all things Pike Road Patriots football with head coach Ed Rigby. My name is Adam Bishop. I serve as the pastor at Vaughn Forest Church and the host of our weekly Brantley Bank Coaches Show. So, Coach, it's great to have you back for another week.
Adam, it's always good to see you. It means there's going to be a high school football game.
That's right.
In the very, very near future, which is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Short week this week, Coach.
Short week, yes.
As we prepare for Lanier High School. Mm-hmm. And certainly we're going to spend a good bit of time talking about that. But, Coach, I mean, we got to start. I know you've already moved on preparing for this week's opponent, but we got to talk a little bit about our victory on Friday night. First region win of the year. Your first win as the Pike Road Patriots head football coach. Coach, I don't even know where to start with quite a game. One of the best high school football games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, well, you know, I came into the game at 54. I left at 61 and aged a lot there at the end. And but when we were coming in, I don't know if it was Brooks or Chad or somebody had said, hey, that clip's been viewed over 10,000 times. And I said, well, 5 of it was me.
That's great.
And reliving that, okay, that's how it worked. Great game. With Tomka, pretty good. Bear and them were doing a great job. He had a lot of great coaches, and they had players. You know, it's a program with tradition.
Right.
I mean, they've won state championship, just 5 years ago. They're a good high school football program, good players. Their defensive front was a little bigger than what you saw on film, a little more athletic, and so was their O-line. Their quarterback was phenomenal. We knew and that's what we went into with the battle cry: stop him, stop them. And he racked up a lot of yards rushing on us off counters and stuff where we over pursued because our defense is very aggressive. And it was a great game. We jumped out ahead of them 29-14 at half, had the game in control, but us understanding as coaches and high school kids understanding, and we told them at halftime, they've been here every game,
right,
and they came roaring back. They're going to give you a surge. So it's very important that we go out, with opening kickoff, go down and score and try to put these guys away. And, we had a miscue on a snap, and we got behind the chains with a penalty, and it forced us to punt, and here we go, putting them back in the ball game. And, we had a lot of yards and penalties, which we've got to get cleaned up. And, we've battle cried that again and again and again. We had to speak about the discipline of it this morning again. We're continuing to preach it and work on it. But, they came back, and it's what we expected. They capitalized off a couple of our miscues. Same thing, We haven't put together a whole four-quarter ball game yet. We've played 3 quarters.
Right.
We've been playing 2. Now we played 3. This week we need 4. And but it came down to we had to get a defensive stop with just over a minute left, and we used our timeouts. We saved them. We were able to use them wisely to have an opportunity, and our defense bowed up. And some of the guys across the front, to look at them, how hard they got off the ball. Shamar Powell is a captain this week. He's one of them, for example. The knockback of him rocking the tackle back in his stance,
right,
play after play. Those guys, they wanted to win. There was no, it's over in them. And so we make that 4th down and a yard stand. They actually lost 3 yards on the play. We get the ball back, and, we're able to, under a minute, dial up a play that the kids executed perfectly. And, Anthony, once he got around the corner, the horn of the defense, it was over with. They're not catching him. And, Caleb did a great job of standing there, putting the ball down the money. O-line, plenty of time. It was perfect. Everybody did, it was just perfectly executed, how you draw it on a board. And then you'll go for a touchdown.
Right.
And, but it was huge, and obviously they got the ball back. We had to stop them. And again, our front from Shamar to Buki across to Malik, they rocked those guys back in their stances. And, it was something that a championship caliber team does. When the chips were down, they knew, and I take that back to the first 2 ball games and the level of competition that we played, of that desire, because we did it in those first couple games, especially the first one. We came back on them and tied them there with a minute left. But this time we were able to finish it off with that perfect play, and then the perfect 4 plays. Well, it was 3 plays, and then their quarterback spiked the ball on 4th down.
Yeah.
And so we were able to finish them off and get out of there with a 1-0 region victory. Wetumpka is, they're one of the top teams in the region, and it was a good win because it was It was how it was won. And again, it goes to show, and that's what I keep telling the kids, when we put together fourth quarters, we can beat Mighty State in 6A. But we've got to put together 4, and we've got to get rid of the penalties. The penalties are putting us behind the change, and we're not built there yet. We're improving in so many ways. Caleb went, 4 for 6 for 115 yards. Caleb Foster, our quarterback, for 2 touchdowns. We're improving in areas, but these are things that are on us, and we talked about that again this morning. It's all about us. It's not about them. It's not about who we're playing. It's about us correcting our mistakes, and we'll get where we want to go. But it was a great game, a lot of excitement as a fan, and the announcers, and you got to be a part of that there at the end, and just. By the time we're back inside, all the kids are gone. We're sitting there, and it's already posted on Facebook and Twitter, and heck, maybe even MySpace. I don't know. It was out there everywhere, and but it was posted, and you and Chris, your voices at the end are you're so loud into it. All you hear is into the mics and stuff, and hopefully I didn't put it into the mic, but it was hilarious, and we sat there and watched it, like I say, multiple times, and it was exciting. It was great to be a part of it.
Coach, we were sitting on top of the press box. It felt like an earthquake. The stadium literally went from 0 to 10. I think if they'd had a Richter scale out there, we might have shown up on it. I've had people in our church, Coach, who live in neighborhoods far away from the stadium who said, we heard it.
I've actually heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that from some folks who live in those neighborhoods right across. That we call some people like, hey, what happened to the game? And they're like, you're not going to believe it, because it was in their house.
Right.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, and it was awesome. And and again, like you said, it's in the rear view. Caleb's getting better at quarterback. Tormey, got him a touchdown, there in the game. We got to get him more involved. He's 6'7", with some Division I offers. Defensively, Max Seaman led us in tackles again with, I believe, 7, and Buki was right behind him with 6. It was Buki's first time back. Jalen Jared, for those who don't know, it was his first game back since the first play of Hillcrest.
Right.
And we played him limitedly, sparingly, to kind of build him back into it. He's had a good week of practice, so we expect more out of him. And it was exciting. It was exciting to be a part of it. And very, very happy with how our kids handled the adversity that we were in, and some of it was self-inflicted on our part. But, once you get in it, it's easy to fold your pup tent and go home. We didn't do that.
And after this experience, those young men will never think that way for the rest of their life.
That's it. Hey, we're never out of this.
To see the defense and the offense on back-to-back plays have the best play of the night at the most important time. And you hit on it earlier with everybody doing their job. Anthony's special.
Yeah.
But Anthony doesn't get that opportunity if everybody else isn't doing their job.
The O-line has to do it, and our pass protection's getting better and better. And as it does, because here's the thing, the general person in the stands, or with any football program, coming off of last year, and I'm not going back to that, but they attempted 68 passes in a whole season, a state championship undefeated season. Offensive linemen, it's like any skill. If you don't work on pass protection, you don't pass protect.
Right.
And you don't walk out there and mysteriously do it. It takes time. We didn't have spring and all those things to do that. And people might say, well, he keeps coming back. Come back, that's what reality is. It takes time, and you'll notice we're getting more time. I know yesterday at practice, two particular times where we pass protected and our defense brought pressure, and you hear the thump. It wasn't brother-in-law and hey, we're tired of seeing a practice. It was a thump, and where there's knockback and digging in, and the quarterback stepping up in the pocket and delivering the ball. That's the way it's supposed to look. We're just now getting to that point.
Right.
And it's going to open up some things in our run game. And, we came out in our 2 tight end set. We start off in spread. Once we figured that we can handle them in it, hey, you're crazy to get out of it when you're averaging 8-9 yards a carry.
Right.
You're and then once you slow it down, we get out, and then we come back to it. In a perfect world, we're moving in and out of that because it forces you to bring people on and off the field. But things are getting better in a lot of ways. We're not close to being there yet. It goes back to it's all about us, not about them. And we got a lot to improve on. So, we've put that in the books, and, it's on to the next one.
Yeah, and that is actually tomorrow night. So it's Thursday night lights this week, Coach, instead of Friday night. Playing here locally in Montgomery, not in Pike Road, but right down the road in the Crampton Bowl against Lanier. And they're early in their season as well. But what have you seen from them so far?
Well, I've been able to play them, the last 4 years, and the thing about them is this, they've got size. I mean, they're probably on the interior. They're 2 DTs. One of them every bit of 330 at least. I know what it says on the thing, but you can look and tell. They got some big old giant dudes in there, and they create knockback. They got speed off the edge. They're number one. Their outside backer is as fast as any kid you'll play against, and hits like a freight train. But they're You don't know what you're going to get, so you better be ready for their best. They had a great first game against Lee and just went out there and stoned them. Come back Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, versus JD, and got beat on some special team errors. And so, we don't know, but what I know is in playing Thursday night, at 7 o'clock, they're going to show up.
Right.
There's going to be a football game. But they do have players. They do have guys who can break and take it to the house on offense. Their quarterback and running back can do it. They both can do it. And defensively, they're going to sting you. They hit, and they run to the ball well. And, we've got to go out there, establish early. We can't have turnovers. We can't get behind the chains with penalties. That's a big thing. We've got to take care of the controllables of the ball game. That's us. And go out there and take it to them and win the battle with things such as special teams, where I feel confident that we're better in. And the deal is, it's going to be great. One of the things, listeners, folks who listen to this, Montgomery does have the deal. Ours is similar, but not the same, where 18 and under, and I may misquote this a little bit, just look it up on your own. But, 18 and under, you got to be accompanied by a guardian, an adult. And they can only bring in like so many people with them, type thing. So if you're one of our fans, we want everybody there because it's just right there.
Right.
It's, a big giant stadium. And even if you have a big crowd, it seems empty because it's so big. But we want our folks to come. So if you're a high school student, you're going, you by yourself are going to have trouble getting in. But hey, I know, Jimmy, my buddy's daddy's going to the game, or mom, hey, you need to jump in and go with them, meet up with them when you can get in the ball game, and be able to go watch the game. So that's something that you normally don't have to, think through. And we have a policy too now, 16 and under and that kind of thing, too, kind of mimicking that one, but not as strict. So we need some support tomorrow night. Thursday night games are different. It's a short week for us. Makes us practice a little bit different, do things. And we had our first middle school JV game yesterday, which we won both up there at Ben Russell. Middle school won 32-28. They got way ahead and then did some substitution, let them come back, just to make it interesting for the fans. but got a lot of kids in the game, and that's important for those kids. And then the junior varsity, it was their first game, won 14-0, and in a big win there to get them started. We play JV and middle school first at 5. Monday, middle school first at 5, and then we play JV right after that at home on Monday night. And then the next Friday, we're in Eufaula at Eufaula. Okay. But all that matters right now is 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Crampton Bowl versus Lanier.
And we're going to put that link up right now, Coach, at GoFan for everyone to purchase their tickets. And my son plays in the Pike Road Youth Football League. We're all taking off tomorrow night for practice so that we can be out there as well. So if you have a kid that plays and you didn't see the email yet, practice has been canceled. We want to carpool, get to the game, and be there with all of the little Pike Road Patriots wearing their jerseys to support the varsity team as well. So, Coach, as I listen to you describe Lanier, I don't want to be oversimplistic, but it sounds like a game where whoever makes the fewest amount of mistakes probably going to come out on top.
That's exactly right, because they are athletic and they do have size. Their head coach is new, and the Lanier here's. And I'm probably going to be off on this, and they can, Brooks or one of them out there could look this up real quick on Alabama high school football history, okay? The two schools have played before. Now, you think to yourself, we're going to have football a few years. We haven't played them. It was, I believe, and that's why I want somebody to look it up. I believe it was 1930.
Wow.
I think 1930. Lanier played Pike Road. Lanier won, I believe it was 19-0. Okay, and I believe it was 30 or in the 20s. And it may even been even later. But I remember when I looked at, I just happened to glance over, last time they've played, and I'm like, there is no last time. And and I remember thinking, well, this is pre-World War II,
Wow.
And so it's been a while. So I think it was 30. But somebody can look that up and correct that. But so the two schools have a history. And even though it was basically 90 years ago, 92 or whatever years ago, but there is a history. And somebody's probably going to check that math and go, he can't count. And I was doing off the top of my head, y'all. I just use some math, use a pencil. But in modern times, this is it. And now we're in the region with them and, all of your Montgomery Public Schools that are 6A. And it's going to be a great football game because, again, I've played them a lot, and I know they're going to show up. And if you don't get out there and get after them early, it'll start to steamroll on you. They'll pick up steam. They'll capitalize off your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said it. It's who comes down to the fewest mistakes. And mistakes early are what will get you in a ball game like this. It will be huge. It would be huge to get out 2-0 in the region, to get into the driver's seat of the region and get rolling. And that's what it could do for us going into our non-region opponent, which everybody in the state will have next week. Non-region opponent. And then, weirdly, the next week's our off week, our bye week. So we really have 2 more weeks before we come back to region play. So it's huge to get this, to get this win. That way, we have the next 2 weeks, a game, and then an actual week to fix things, tweak things. Okay, where are we at midseason? What do we need to do from here to the end to win this region? But again, it all goes through a win tomorrow night, being 2-0 in the region.
Right. Coach, we're all still getting to know you, first year coaching Pike Road. And so every game, I feel like we get to know a little bit about your approach to games. And you did something Friday night that I just thought was remarkable. I wanted to talk about it and see if that's something that's, an approach you like to take, or did the circumstances of the game dictate it? But when the kicker, who had been bombing kicks into the end zone all evening, kicked it out of bounds, you had him re-kick it. Is that an approach, just, hey, I want my playmakers to have an opportunity here? And if so, Coach, I got to tell you, as a fan, that fired me up to see a coach make that decision.
Well, the deal is, we faced 2 kickers in a row that could kick it out the back of the end zone.
Yeah, you're right about that.
With Marist and them. And what that does is it takes away our ability to get a couple playmakers back there, which we have.
Right.
It takes away the ability for them to get yards, not individually, but for our team. Now, and here's the actual reason why. Now that we've had analytics in football, analytics have been around forever in the sport. People have been doing math on this game forever. But now it's become, you hear it, and what really brought a lot of public attention to it was last year when Ole Miss played Alabama, and Lane Kiffin kept going for it on 4th down because that's what the math said. That's what the analytics, that's what all the number crunchers. You look at Alabama and LSU and Georgia, all of them got all these analytic guys now. And these guys who are maybe not head coach, they can come give them a little pay and they crunch the numbers. When them are GAs crunching them numbers.
Right.
Those old guys ain't crunching no numbers. They're like me. But the math of football, and these stats have been around, and now they've kind of rounded them to close where you can go, okay, so if you start with your back against that end zone and you're on the 5-yard line, you have basically in high school football, you have a 95% chance, it's a little bit more than that you're not getting a point. You're not. When you start on the 20, the rounded math of it for high school is around, you have only about a 20% chance, and it's a little bit less, that you're going to get a point, one, out of this. So for us to get a kickoff and get it up to the 40, from the 20 to the 40, we're changing our math and our statistical ability to score a point.
Right.
Okay? Now, the ability with some of the guys we have, not only do you change your math, but statistically, we have people who've run these back for touchdowns. Our kids know it. they block a little different on this for them.
Right.
Because they know they have the ability to take it back. And with that being said, it was all just playing the math odds and the analytics of let's make them. And if they pin us, they pin us. But we're going to have a chance to spark something right here. And that was the big thing. Spark, math, up our odds, up our ante. And that's the thought process in that. Just like we've changed it for a reason. But I like to, when we're going 40 and in, especially 35 and in, I like to go for it on fourth down because if you punt the ball in the end zone, you're only going to lose a little bit of yard. Yeah, that you're giving them some percentages of their chances. But we tried it week before last to punt and pin at Marist. We let it roll in the end zone because we're trying to pin them actually to make them have to drive that far, hoping along the way they finally would make that one human mistake, but because they didn't make any. But the deal is it's become, the sport is kind of changed. The statistics of football is this for the NFL too. They should go for 2 every time.
Right.
That's the pure math of the game. The pure math of the game, even in NFL, is you should onside kick every time. Now, they've changed some rules over the last couple of years to make it where, the old lineup was go smoke those guys and get ball, to protect people, and that's changed that a little bit. But statistically, you should never punt either. So, and that's the analytics of it. Now it takes a lot of guts not to punt that ball every time, or craziness, and it takes a lot of guts and craziness. But 40 and in, I like to go for it when it's a third. We got fourth and less than 3. I personally like because just going to play the odds of it. That where have we been, what have we been doing, and again. The whole game's based around possession of the football. He who possesses it has a chance to score. He who does not have a chance to score.
Right.
So keeping the possessions in our favor, getting that next set of downs to keep their offense off the field. And again, every yard closer to the goal line ups the ante of the math to score a touchdown.
And Coach, I love the fact that you're talking about the analytics, but I also hear you talking about manalytics. Who are the men I've got on the field? Who's the personnel? Because if I've got players and they can make plays, and that's what I saw Friday night. I saw a very intentional effort by you and your coaching staff. Team sport, everybody's out there working together, but knowing who the key players are, knowing when they could make big plays. And it was exciting to see them come through and do that.
Yeah, and I like how you put it. It's manalytics. It's what you have out there. And, we're blessed that we have some guys who can make some plays and can run, and they're football players. They're tough. They'll block for one another. And one of the best things, and I bragged about this some to the kids, and we talk about it as coaches, and the public don't hear about, when you've ran through a bunch of different running backs in your careers and different people, you can get prima donnas. You can get prima donnas that, and you see other players. I love it when I see somebody who's a great back and you watch film and they won't block. It's pass play and they just go over there and kind of hop around. They never look for contact. But those guys, to me, those are the guys that are like, we got a chance to get after this guy. He don't want to be real physical. We got a chance. Our guys all block selflessly for one another. It is the craziest thing that we have so many that will do it. And there's certain people will roll in on certain plays just because they will block. And those guys who block all the time, you want to try to reward them too.
Right.
And a selfless blocker for us is Mason Hussey, our H-back that we move around. Well, I can't watch Mason block all these times and never let him touch the football. So at some point that's coming.
That's
in
awesome.
more than one way.
I love it.
But it'll be at the right times. But he needs to be rewarded for how hard, that backfield selflessly, again, kick, wrap, hook, arc, release, be misdirection, run over there, where they think you're going because they're going to track you and coach off of you. But all the way through, I mean, they're very selfless, and that's special because that guy who won't block, you can't coach him to do it. They got it in them, and So we're very blessed in that aspect.
So it's that level of selflessness, teamwork, enthusiasm, that never quit spirit we've seen in this team 3 weeks in that we're all excited to see again Thursday night. So I think that's a good place for us to wrap up our show today. So let me make sure everybody knows you can pick up your tickets right here. We're putting the link up for you at GoFan. If for whatever reason you can't make it out, and again, we want as many people there, Crampton Bowl, 7 p.m. But if for whatever reason you're not able to make it, the broadcast will be again on Pike Road Live on YouTube. But let me tell you, Patriot Nation, we want you to be there Thursday night at 7 p.m. Crampton Bowl. So, Coach, thanks for another weekly Coaches Show sponsored by Brantley Bank. And I think we can say go Patriots.
Go Patriots. Thank you for having us again.